Hey guys, average homeowner here. Today we're going to talk about a lathe. We want to turn some wood. We need a lathe. What lathe do we get? Well, that depends on what you want to do. So in my particular case, I was interested in making pens and I wanted to start with some bowls, some little stuff like that. I chose a mini lathe, and once you jump down the lathe rabbit hole, you could be all over the place. Lathes can cost from a couple $100, just a small pen lathe, to thousands of dollars. So what do you want to do? So I looked around. I found the Rockler Excelsior lathe, which you see right here. This lathe normally sells for $3.99. I see right now today, I looked it up, it's $2.99 on sale. This is a 5-speed lathe. The way you adjust your RPMs on the speed is by a belt. So you loosen the belt, you lift the motor up, you open these side compartments, and you move the belt to the two different pulleys to get the speed you want. I think 740 is the slowest speed and 3200 RPMs is the highest speed. So what does this lathe come with? You take this piece off, you take these off. This is what your lathe comes with. I'll show you this piece too. So let's talk about it. Lathe a little bit. This is called the headstock. This is called the tailstock. The pieces that comes with it is this, which is a spur. You see it, it'll grab onto the piece. These will kind of grab onto the wood. This is called a live center. It's on a bearing. It turns. Usually goes into the tail section here. Okay. So when you look at these fittings, you'll see a taper to that. The size of this taper for this particular lathe is an M2, which is a standard size. So these pieces would fit in multiple lathes. So when you're looking at lathes, make sure they got common sizes, so that if you change lathes, stuff you buy for your lathe between the headstock and the tailstock, you can use interchangeably. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing it came with is called headstock. So this actually gets screwed on to this. Okay. Again, this fitting is a 1-inch 8. I think it's DPI. That's the thread. It could be DPT. I'd have to look that up. Anyhow, what you see on it, I screwed in waste block, they call it. So you could glue stuff to this and you could use it to start turning. So this is what it all comes with. This and these two pieces, and this piece right here, a couple Allen wrenches too, but this piece right here, which actually fits in here, so you could turn these two things. But it also, once you got pressure on these things will be stuck in here pretty good. So you have to put the rod in here and hit it. You might even have to use a mallet. It's the mallet I made actually, to knock these out. So that's our lathe. Let me quickly talk about some of the accessories I ended up buying, just to keep in mind at the beginning what you're getting into with a lathe. So I'm just going to take this off so it shows better. All right, I want to show you a chuck I bought. So I bought a Vinwox SCR 4-4. That's this. This is a chuck. So what does a chuck do? So this spins onto this. So instead of gluing everything up, I can make a tenon or a mortise and use this chuck. So this chuck comes with these two things. So to change the size, you have to use these two things. And it's pretty easy. You open and close. The thing is, on the lesser expensive chucks, you need to do two hands to do this. However, you need another hand to hold the piece up there. So the better chucks have a one-hand screwing process, so you could hold with one hand and screw with another. I've learned technique where I get it close and then hold it in and push these two things with one hand to tighten it. So it's easily workable. This piece here also comes with, let me show you, this little gizmo right here. So this little gizmo right here is made to fit in the center of this. So how this works then is, again, I showed you before, here's my blank. I cut it into this. You can see I drilled the hole that's just a little bit smaller than this. And I would screw this, I'm not gonna screw it all the way on. I would screw that on there until it becomes flat with that. Then I start turning it round. Then I can make a tenon or a mortise. And then you can unscrew this off. You take this out, right? And you either put your tenon on there or mortise, either way that you want to do it. That's what this does. There are limitations though for that thing. So there's some things that you can only get this size, can only be so small, so it can't hold something smaller. Say you're doing, like, a prime example would be if I was doing a bottle opener handle. You could see these pieces here are just screwed in. So what you could do is buy the different other things that go with this. So for smaller ones, or if I just want to grab a square thing, here's a other attachment. So I would take this off and I would put that attachment on. Saves me from buying another chuck. Sometimes you're doing a bowl and you got to remount the bowl, but you've already taken this tenon off or the mortise and you got to get the side that's the bowl side. There's another attachment you can use. So this would go on that attachment, and you could see by the rubber stoppers, they would come down around the round bowl and hold it in place, and you could finish up whatever you needed to do there. So I think it's important to have all three of these items, so that gives you way flexibility on what you're doing. Okay, I mounted a piece of wood to the chuck. I discovered early on that you really need a drill bit head because you have to drill holes for certain things in the stock that's already on this. So a drill bit head with an M2 size taper to it, bought on Amazon, goes into that. Okay, you would put your bit, whatever bit you want. Now some people will use these bits and they'll drill out to start their bowls, and they'll just drill out bigger, 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 and then they'll finish up with the tool. But you bring this close to it, and then you would just start turning the wheel. This stays straight, doesn't turn. This turns. This is spinning on your lathe. The bit goes in, you drill a hole. You got to kind of go slow, work it back and forth. The beauty of this is that it keeps the hole centered in the center of your piece of wood that you're working on. Once again, this is the live center that came with the lathe. So again, I'd put that live center in there, and if I wanted to support this while I was working on it, I would put that up in there. Okay, that works